What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. A big thanks to all you guys for tuning in, liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell, as I do post new Warriors videos daily, and it does help the channel continue to grow as the season moves along. And also, just for your information, if you can't catch us on YouTube these days, feel free to catch us wherever you get your podcast daily, as we're also on Spotify and Apple Music. Now, the Warriors lost last night. Let's be honest; it was expected, but it's still a relief because it's been such a long season. I mean, everything that has gone or could go wrong has gone wrong with this season, and it's finally a relief to see it end, especially when it's against a team that we're doubling back against them on Wednesday in the play-in, so it isn't the end of the world. But what I did like is the fact we saw some good play between Steph and Kristaps Porzingis. Seeing that good back and forth at least gives me hope for next year in seeing how potentially, say, Porzingis comes back, they play well together, and they continue to build upon this current roster when they do a complete teardown in the offseason. Now, I'm happy about that. But what's tough is just to see that the Warriors were nearly 10 games below 500 to end the season. And that is as rough as it can get. And you know what? It doesn't give me a lot of hope for the play-in game. But you never know where things can go from there. Now, it is the end of the season. You can see, all right, we got the play-in game on Wednesday. Things could go many different ways leading into that. And things could get better. But it remains to be seen. Because, you know what, we don't know if Draymond's going to play. We don't know how healthy Steph's going to be, and is he going to play extended minutes? He only had 29 minutes last night, 29 points. Porzingis only played 24. Now, they did stretch the entire bench. Like, outside of Draymond, he was the only guy that didn't play. But it's just, I don't know if this is going to be a good or a bad thing going into Wednesday's game. Now, when it comes to Wednesday's game, like, you got to understand, the play-in is just the first of two tough back-to-back games. And surprisingly, instead of the Blazers, which I was shocked that it wasn't going to be them, the Warriors are playing the Clippers. Now, like the Blazers, they lost the season series to the Clippers as well, 3-1. And they're basically staying in LA. And I don't have a lot of confidence in them even making it close. Like, looking at last night's game, their largest lead was 7, but they only had the lead for a few minutes in the first half. So I'm not really that confident they're going to do anything to get better. And on top of that, yes, Draymond may be back, but it could go any which way. We don't know if Steph's going to play the full game, as he probably should or shouldn't, if the Warriors are actually serious with these play-in games. We don't know how many minutes Kristaps Porzingis is going to play. We don't know if it's going to be full. Are they going to go full at it with the Clippers? Are they going to give us the business and just go Kawhi, Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, all those guys to really get it done? Jason Collins, who had 18 last night, are they going to give him all that? Is Brook Lopez going to go full on with his 23 minutes? You're not sure. Now, looking at who didn't play, not a lot of guys didn't play outside of outside of Kawhi Leonard, who didn't play and should be available Wednesday. Clippers did play the majority of their good players, and I am a little worried about how this is going to affect the Warriors because, you know what, this team isn't fully healthy. They are still just trying to push their luck as much as possible, and while the Warriors have had lucky streaks, those lucky streaks have really run out as of late, and it's just not helping the team in the long run. And you know what, that's tough to deal with. I mean, I think about it more and more, and this Warriors team should not be in the playoffs right now. They got luckily unlucky by sealing that 10th seed and getting into the play-in. And you know what? I still think this offseason does play better for them, but they still have to deal with a play-in game because you never know. Maybe they get lucky, win the 2 play-in games, and then play the Thunder for the 8-versus-1 games and then get swept by them and end up with the 15 spot. Then they're completely SOL. And they have to deal with being that 15 slot in outside lottery with no chance at getting a top pick. But again, if that does happen, and that is worst case scenario, the offseason does have a lot of promise. And that's the one silver lining we get from this game is, yes, the Warriors did lose the majority of their last few games. Yes, they aren't going to win their play-in games most likely, or worst case scenario they do. They will likely get swept by Oklahoma City. But there's a lot of things that can be done in this offseason to help the Warriors get better. Yes, LeBron to the Warriors has legs. Yes, there is no free agency drama with Jonathan Kuminga this offseason. Yes, the Warriors do have a lot of expiring contracts that they can that they can clear the books with, and you know what? Continue to add to help Steph get one more. But this is all dependent on what happens on Wednesday for that play-in game. Now they lose. Perfect. That's best case scenario for this team, because then they have a decent shot at getting a top 4 pick. And based off of how the losing play-in teams did in the last few seasons, I'm confident that they may get lucky. But if they don't, things are going to be a little tougher for them. Though I do like there are certain guys that they could get in the draft, like a Day Mara, who I believe is going to be a perfect fit with this Warriors team if they draft like outside of the lottery, but that remains to be seen. I do like the idea of them getting LeBron, maybe trading for Giannis if they get a top 4 pick, because we know, and I've seen this in the comments, that Steve Kerr cannot develop top tier picks. Like we saw what happened with James Weissman. We saw what happened with Jonathan Kuminga. Now, we could make the argument Pods and Moses Moody were semi-top tier, but they were more end of the lottery and like late first-round picks that were able to be developed because they knew how to embrace their role. Now, when it comes to top-tier picks, I like to put it like this. Kerr is not a developmental coach because he came into that Warriors team after they already were a solid playoff contender. Remember, they went from a first-round playoff loss to a second-round playoff loss before firing Mark Jackson. And Kerr has just been that guy who takes them to that next level. He hasn't really been the guy who didn't develop Clay. He didn't develop Steph Curry. He may have helped with the development of Draymond Green, but all he really did was insert him into the starting lineup over David Lee when David Lee got injured. So you could say his development was due to that, but let's put it this way. Kerr is in the position he's in because, one, he knows how to connect with his players who already are veterans, as well as he knows how to put a winning offensive scheme together. And that's really what's kept him going these last 10-plus years as the Warriors coach, even though he has had some bad downturns, like this season, like a couple seasons ago, and they really haven't figured it out in terms of how to develop their young guys. But that sort of remains to be seen because should the Warriors go into this offseason, get a top pick, they're trading it because they don't need a young guy who's not going to be ready for another 2 to 3 years. They need a guy who can help Steph win now, and those are the guys that the Warriors are going to bring in, whether it be Giannis, whether it be LeBron James, whether it be some other vet that's on the free agent or trade market. They're going to reload, and they're going to find those right guys to chase one last championship next year. Now, bottom line is, it has been a rough season. I will be the first to admit that. Some games you watch, and this is an amazing Warriors team. I don't know how they're doing it. They got the magic, and then you watch till the end of the game, and then they blow it. And when they blow it, it's just like you're shaking your head. Like, what is going on with this team? And sometimes nobody really knows. And that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. But you know what? It is what it is. But at least it's finally over. Now we could focus on the offseason, look at, hey, how this team can get better. What are some ways they can improve? What areas do they bring back Kristaps Porzingis? Do they convince Draymond to opt out and sign on a longer-term deal for more money but less annual values? We'll see what happens. Do they trade away Jimmy Butler as a large contract filler? I don't know, but you know what? At least we know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and the Warriors are driving straight to it. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, a big thanks to you guys for tuning in, liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And if you have any thoughts on how the Warriors can truly improve in the offseason, I'll give you two scenarios. One, they win both the play-in games and then get swept in the first round. I'll give you that scenario. And then scenario B, they lose the play-in game against the Clippers and then get a top 4 pick. Give me your best thoughts on either of those scenarios on how the Warriors can improve. And as always, go Dubs.